toy fans, Kyle here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new DX Ninja Steel Megazord from Power Rangers Ninja Steel, the next Power Rangers show coming to Nickelodeon next spring. I want to say late winter, early spring. And that is, of course, Power Rangers Ninja Steel. I mentioned it just a second ago, which is based on Shuriken Sentai Ninja. This toy itself, the DX Ninja Steel Megazord, is based on that of Shurikenjin. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a look at the Ninja Steel Megazord and just see how awesome it is. So, starting with the packaging, there's something about this packaging that seems a little bit different. Just looking at it, I think what they did was they've made the window slightly larger, and they've reduced the size of the Red Ranger. I think before there was also artwork in this corner of like a Megazord, like I believe it was like the T-Rex Zord and the others that would fill this corner. So there's this packaging having such a big window, it just looks a little off. Not bad, it's just something we're not used to seeing since the past probably 6 years or so. We've had very, very similar packaging. So apart from that, it also says bonus figure included, which is probably going to throw a lot of people off, and I can imagine Bandai getting a whole crap ton of complaints because it says 5 Zords, right? So you get the 5 Zords, where's the bonus figure? I mean, I know they're obviously trying to upsell the Red Ranger Zord as the bonus figure, but that just kind of seems a little bit, you know, a little bit scummy, like borderline. We're like kind of looking over the border of scummy, but not quite there. So I think they're going to get a lot of complaints over that if people are like, where's my bonus figure? And also on the top it says battle gear included. That's probably not as bad as an offense, but of course it is referring to the dragon's tail and his shield, which are also an essential part of the combination, so that's also a thing. On the front you got Ninja Red, or, you know, the Red Ranger. You got some nice little artwork right there of the Megazord. On the back, we have the great picture of the Megazord just kind of standing there doing his thing. You can put your 5-inch figures on there. I don't have any 5-inch figures on there, but trust me, it works. You got a bigger picture of the Zords, and of course Zord Builder showing off the motorcycles, all that fun stuff. And then another picture. It's the same picture, I think. It's just flipped over. That's kind of cool. Anyway, let's go ahead, let's crack this packaging open, and let's take a look at Ninja Steel Megazord. So here we have all 5 Zords, as well as the head of the Ninja Steel Megazord. They don't have names yet. Nowhere on the packaging did it mention the names, so I'm just going to refer to them as the Blue Ranger Zord, Red Ranger Zord, White Ranger Zord, etc., etc. And I also wanted to mention, before we start talking about these individually, that this is not going to be completely a comparison video with the Japanese version. This is going to focus primarily just looking at the toy by itself, but there will be a few instances where I pull out the Japanese version just to show a few things off. Actually starting right here with the headpiece. I absolutely love this headpiece. I think that this is kind of the way I wished they would have gone with all of the throwing stars. As we can see, it still has the sculpted detail, which I really like, versus just the regular sort of DX throwing stars that you can put in the Morpher. It's got the sculpted detail, it's got the head gimmick, it doesn't need the electronics, it's bulky, it doesn't feel cheap. They could have put the reader gimmick down there, it would have been fine. Granted, kids would have probably still tried to throw them at each other, but it looks a lot better. So it's more of my fanboy dream, more than it is kind of me hoping a reality. But it would have really been cool if they looked like this, and then they had, like, you know, the sticker details. You could have flipped the head up, whatnot. Anyway, this head looks so much better than the Japanese version, this head crest. Because the head crest on the Japanese version had to accommodate the lights and sounds. So this one, the American one, is actually more show accurate. And I think that is fantastic. And it's a lot less cumbersome. I just think it's fantastic. Anyway, so that's it for this. We're going to go ahead and put it aside. It doesn't have the sticker detail on the bottom anymore. So that's a bit of a bummer. It does look kind of plain going on down there. They could have put something. But yeah, that's basically it for the head. Obviously, there's going to be more parts for the Bison King combination that you're going to want to stick on top of there. So that's essentially what this part's for. Moving along, here is the White Ranger Zord, the cute little puppy dog. It can move its head up and down. It can look up and look really cute, and that is about it. It doesn't have too many paint tabs. I believe the gold right here and this little knife that he is holding are painted, as well as the black crest and the blue eyes. The bright blue, cute little blue baby dog eyes, which are adorable. This is just so cute. And tiny, no actual feet articulation or movement. You can't sit it down. But he just kind of sits there and does his own little thing. And looks really cute, and I'm kind of okay with that. Next up is the Pink Ranger Zord, which is the bullet train. We've got, of course, the pink little star accent right there in the front. It rolls. If you want to, you can actually sit the little dog in there, and he'll just kind of look really cute, rest his head. And he'll just roll. Not the cleanest roll, not the best wheels, to be completely honest, but it does kind of do the trick. Now, they changed up the joints. Since these are two separate pieces, and the actual transformation is reliant on Zord Builder, you can actually split the feet apart, and they can be two individual Zords if you wanted them to. And you can have them now race. Or if you wanted to, you can have just do some serious upgrading and give the little baby dog his own Zord altogether. And that, I think, is really kind of neat. And continuing to move along, we can take a look at the dragon. The dragon himself looks pretty good. He's got this giant wing. These, of course, forms the sword and the shield for the actual Megazord. It's pegged on there really tight. It's not going to go anywhere. Unfortunately, the fist, it doesn't actually fold up or hide in any ways. It's just, you kind of are stuck with the fist butt. And his head doesn't have any articulation, though it is really nicely detailed on the back. And his arm does have some really nicely detailed. I love the Shuriken logo right there on his chest, painted in gold. I think that looks really good. He can bend and kind of like drink water, like is that the sound they make when they drink water? I don't know. And one little thing, unfortunately, we've lost the dragon face detail, and actually I've added another part where I'm going to talk about the Japanese version. On the Japanese version, it actually looks like the dragon's face. This is kind of lost in translation, so there is another thing, but this is now done completely in one solid piece, which I much prefer. And the wings are actually also held on by a Zord Builder port. It's like a really gummy Zord Builder port that's kind of awkward to stick in there. And there he is, you know, he's just kind of looking cool, kind of hanging out, having fun. Now taking a look at the dump truck, and this is one of the other ones I intended to pull out the Japanese version, as I feel like this one has suffered the most by far in terms of the combination or the translation into a cheaper American toy. You can just pretty plainly see what's wrong with this one. If they could have added this one piece that could have gone over, it would have helped the toy so much in needing to actually look like a dump truck, because I feel like this struggles to look like a dump truck. It looks just kind of like a chibi-fied dump truck that you would find on like Mario Kart, and you would have like, you know, the garbage man racer sitting in the middle, and he'd go wah, wah, wah. It doesn't really come across as a dump truck. It just looks weird. But it rolls fantastic. We can see the Zord Builder ports down there, and it's got two more Zord Builder ports for the arms. Really, really like the front detail. Love this silver paint. They put a ton of silver paint on there. And on the back as well. You can kind of see it right there. So that's really nice. I do dig that. But we can again see it's obviously an arm stuck to the front of something else. So that is a bit disappointing. Lastly, we've got the Red Ranger Zord. And it's almost identical to the Japanese version. You can, rotate the arms, rotate the head. The main thing it's missing is, of course, paint detail, which is pretty much universal now. He can bend, he can sit, he can look around, kind of. There you go. Turn his head left and right. Very simple. He's got his nice big robot-y backpack. And that's basically it. I mean, he looks really nice. I have really no complaints. I love the ninja stars on his shoulders. I think that's a really nice little detail. And all in all, I'm very satisfied with him. He's not really a bonus figure, though, since he is part of the main team essential to completing the transformation. So, call Bandai and ask them where their bonus figure is, seriously. Anyway, that does it for the look at each individual Zords. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to put them all together and form the Ninja Steel Megazord. So the first thing we want to do is pull that apart. We're going to take the dragon, pull all this apart, and just kind of blah, 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 blah. This guy we don't need to pull apart. This guy we don't need to pull apart. So we're going to start right here with this little red bucket. We're going to bend his feet. Zord Builder port goes into Zord Builder hole, just like that. Do the same on the other side. Zord Builder port goes into Zord Builder port hole. Zord Builder peg goes into Zord Builder port. Why can't I say that? We're going to take the little doggy, cute little doggy, and we're just going to break its neck. And we're going to put it right in here. And it just kind of fits into place. It doesn't really snap in or anything. It just kind of slides in. Yep, just slides in like that. Moving up. Now we're going to focus on the arms. So the arms, we're going to need the front of the dump truck and the dragon. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to turn it to the side like this. And then we're going to flip it to the side like that. And then we're actually going to also fold these wheels in back. I was trying to be really snarky, but I totally forgot I missed a step. And we're just going to peg those in right there. Now we've got a new exposed Zord Builder port up there at the top. We're going to take the dragon. We can fold his arms up. I kind of like to fold the arms up. I think that's kind of the way I'd like it. And we're going to rotate him and stick him on like that. Just like so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Red Ranger Zord. We're going to lift his arms up just a bit. And we're going to put him in a sitting pose. And we are literally going to sit him in the middle of the Megazord. Just like that. And actually, I lied. I totally lied. I forgot a part. I'm such an idiot. I forgot to take this part out of the box. Wait. This part. And essentially what this is it's a little footrest for the Red Ranger Zord. You just take it, slide it in like that. It doesn't really change the appearance of the Yellow Ranger Zord. It just kind of sits in there. So my thoughts of this Yellow Ranger Zord really suffering. Its looks still stand, trust me. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Red Ranger Zord, use these two little pegs back here, and they'll connect into these two little ports in there. Just like so, and we can flip these two little handlebars out and make it look like he's actually piloting, which is kind of cool. Alright, now he's holding on to his control toggles, dongles, toggles, whatever you want to call it. And we are almost done. Now what we want to do is take the shuriken that came included with the Megazord, flip the little head out, and it'll use these two ports, these two pegs right here, to plug into these two front ports, not the back ones, the front ones. Just like so, and now he has a head. Great. Last but not least, we are going to take the wings and the tail that came off the Dragon Zord. This becomes his sword, just slides right in. And this shield can just store right here using these two pegs. And he stores into sort of the shins or the knees of the dragon. And there we go, we finally have the Ninja Steel Megazord all made up. And he doesn't look bad. considering the fact that it cost almost half the price of the Japanese version, it actually does almost everything the Japanese does. And I would say probably the only things I have issues with are the Zord builder ports in terms of aesthetics, sticking out of the sides and up here. I've never been a big fan of that, but I definitely understand its purpose and why people like it so much. So it's just something that we kind of have to deal with. So for articulation, he does have quite a bit more articulation than you would actually expect a Megazord to have. He can move his arms. His arms are basically bricks. And you can move them. And he can also, Zord builder port alert. Oh my god, Zord builder port alert. He can kick forward, he can bend at the knee. And he can do kind of like a pose like this. If you wanted to, get him to like look like he's doing like an action pose or something, you can do that. It's definitely a thing. Because of the Zord builder ports, though, he is loose at the hips. The knees are fine. They're actually nice and ratcheted. You don't have to worry about that. But his legs. He'll stand just fine, but he's very wobbly. So overall, the construction isn't quite as good, and I feel like that is the Zord builder's fault. And I've noticed over time that Zord builder ports, they're getting weaker and weaker, which is an issue I've been having with my Dino Charge Megazord, as well as my Legacy White Tiger Zord. The ports are really, really loose and really, really bad, and they've just kind of progressively gotten worse over time. For a size comparison, here he is next to the Dino Charge Megazord, as well as as well as Titano Charge. So he is a bit taller than actually all of them. And then one last little comparison, we're just going to stand it right next to Shuriken. So he's a little bit shorter. And he does have a lot less paint tabs, of course. Remember, this was a $70 toy when it was released versus this, which is a $35 toy. Again, I'm going to do a big comparison video a little bit later, but do bear that in mind when starting your rants about this. Now, the gimmick of this toy is, of course, the interchangeable pilots. And now that it is American, we can actually put, the 5-inch Ranger figures in there. Okay, that was a beautiful somersault. We can put the 5-inch Rangers in there, which is kind of weird, but a nice little play gimmick. But that's not the only mode that this toy comes with. We can also actually form a dragon mode. A dragon Megazord crazy mode. In order to do that, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a swap of the Dragon Zord and the Red Ranger Zord. He is going to form an arm. I kind of like to twist the arms up like that. I don't know. It's just me being weird. Makes it look more robotic, I guess. Plug. Jeez. Plug. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. That is how these joints should be. That's crazy. Anyway, we're going to do all this fun stuff. Put this arm back on. Remove the shield. Jeez. Yeah, he tips over a lot, and it's starting to bug me. It didn't bug me before, but now it is definitely starting to bug me. We're going to put the dragon right here in the cockpit. Remove the head, first of all. Just like that. And he can hold on to the little toggles as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn around, take the sword out of his hand. The wings right here with the Zord builder port, they'll actually peg back here. Ugh. Kind of weird and sticky like that. And then the tail will peg in down here, just like that. And now what we want to do is we want to kind of hunch him over. Hunch him over. And there he is. He now has his dragon mode. How fierce and menacing does that look? Not really that much. No. He's got like a fist balls. That's interesting. Now, if you haven't noticed by now, the main gimmick is, of course, interchangeable cockpits. Cockpits. Did I literally just say cockpits instead of cockpits? Jeez, my mind is in the gutter right now. So when the more Megazords release, there will be different cockpits, pilots that can fit in there in the little control. But you could actually also fit, I saw in Bruno's review, you could actually fit the little Japanese version in there as well, which is a bit bigger, definitely. Let's see. And there you go. You can fit the Japanese version, which actually does look pretty nice. And I saw that in his review. It doesn't lock into place, but you can sit it in there. And it just sits fine. It looks cool in there, with arms popping off and everything. Anyway, you can't put his head down, unfortunately, because too far. And yeah, so that is a thing. Let's go ahead, let's put this back into his main Megazord mode, and let's, talk a little bit about this toy. So what are my thoughts on the Ninja Steel Megazord? For the price point, I think you're essentially getting what you paid for, and that's not meant to be a negative or bad thing, as it's essentially the same toy as the Japanese version. It does essentially the same exact stuff, but for a much, much cheaper price point, obviously. There's going to be less paint, there's going to be less detail, usually the transformations are simplified, and we should know to expect that at this point. It's been years they've been doing this, so I'm not sure why anyone would be disappointed. I think as far as a conversion goes, this is probably one of the better ones we've had in recent years in terms of staying faithful to the original toys. And I think it's fine for $35. Could it be better? I'm sure there could be ways it could be better. The issues I'm having with them are with the actual construction. The knees, the Zord builder ports are too loose. I basically fought with this thing while filming this entire review of just arms popping off and legs popping off and stuff happening. It's a little frustrating, but for play, I can understand how useful it can be. So it's really hard to get mad at a toy that's designed for play versus one that's designed for a collector. Anyway, I think that does it for this review. I'm going to do a more in-depth video in comparison a little bit later, so do subscribe and be sure to check that out when it comes out. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. It would really help me a lot. And stay tuned for a lot more Ninja Steel reviews. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.